This video is an exam paper walkthrough of the Eduqas GCSE Mathematics Foundation Tier Component 2 paper from summer 2022. This paper is worth 120 marks in total, and this is the first video of 6. It will focus on questions 1 to 4, which account for 17 of these marks. Eduqas Component 2 papers are calculator papers, so a calculator should be used. A little disclaimer, there may be more than one way to answer a question. The methods shown in this video are not the only way some mathematical skills can be applied. Okay, let's get started. Question 1. The cost of various items sold at a shop are shown below. So we've got a table with the items and their cost. Part A. Find the total cost of buying a calculator, a file and a pencil. So the total cost means we're adding them up. So we want a calculator, so that's £10.50, and then we're going to add a file, £3.59, and then a pencil, 55 pence. But these are in pounds, so I'm going to write that as pounds as well, so £0.55. And then I'm going to add them together, so 10.5, 3.59, 0.55. Check that you've got them correctly in your calculator. And then our total cost is 14.64. We're working in pounds, so that's £14.64. Part B. Nisreen bought 5 notebooks. She paid for them with a £20 note. How much change should she get? So she bought 5 notebooks. Let's see how much 5 notebooks costs. So notebooks are £2.49. So £2.49 multiplied by 5. £12.45. She pays for them with a £20 note. So I'm going to do 20 subtract the £12.45 to see how much change she gets. So that's 7.55. So it's £7.55. You'll get the marks whether you work in pounds or pence, guys. Just my preference to work in pounds. Okay, part C. George bought 2 different items. He paid for them with a £5 note and received £1.90 in change. Which 2 items did he buy? You must show all your working. Okay, so first of all, he paid with a £5 note, received £1.90 change. So if I take £1.90 away from that £5, it'll tell me how much these 2 different items cost. So 5 subtract £1.90. Okay, so these 2 different items cost £3.10 in total. All right, so that's for 2 items, remember. So we're going to do some elimination to start off with. If the total cost of 2 items was £3.10, we can get rid of some things from this table. So one of them couldn't have been a calculator. That was a lot more than £3.10 just on its own. It also couldn't have been a file, okay? But it could have been a mixture of the other things, okay? So it could have been a notebook and a pen, or a notebook and a pencil, or those the same with a stapler. Okay, so we're going to try a couple of different options. Okay, so I'm going to see how much a notebook and a pen costs to start off with. So if it was a notebook plus a pen, that would be £2.49 plus 95 pence. So that's £2.49 plus 0.95. That's £3.44. So it's not a notebook and a pen. What if it was a notebook and a pencil? Because it can't be a notebook and a stapler because they would go over £3. Because 2 plus 2 is 4 for starters. And we've only got £3.10 to work with. So notebook and a pencil. So if we do notebook plus pencil. So that's £2.49 plus 0.55 for a pencil. So that's £3.04. So that's not £3.10. So one of the items was definitely not a notebook. So we're going to get rid of that because it doesn't work with any of the other 2 smaller items that are left. So one of the items must have been a stapler. So let's try the stapler and the pen to start off with. So £2.15 plus 0.95 for the pen. Oh, look at that, £3.10. So it must have been a stapler and a pen. (2A), find the size of each of the angles marked A, B and C. So we're trying to find A, B and C. It tells us that the diagrams are not drawn to scale, so we can't measure anything directly from them. So we're going to need to use our angle facts, guys, okay? So I'm going to start by working out A. So when I'm working out A, we have a straight line here. Angles on a straight line are 180 degrees, okay? So all of these three angles should add up to 180 degrees. This is a right angle, so that I know that that's 90. So I can take these two away from 180 and that'll tell me A. So A equals 180, subtract the 90 and the 47. So A is 43 degrees. So I'm going to pop 43 degrees there for A. So now I'm working with this diagram because I've got B and C. Again, I'm using my angle facts. So here we've got two vertically opposite angles. If they are vertically opposite, they are equal. So B is equal to 62. So I'm going to pop 62 there for B. The next thing I'm going to do is find C. So I'm going to work with this triangle here. And angles in a triangle add to 180 degrees. So if I subtract these two things from 180, I will get C. So C is 180, subtract 62, subtract 42. So C should be 76 degrees. Part B. The interior angles of a triangle are 65 degrees, and 50 degrees. Circle the correct mathematical name of this triangle. So here we need to know types of triangles, guys, and properties of triangles is useful as well. So we're going to go through these each one at a time to explain them. So equilateral, all three sides are the same and all three angles are the same. Those aren't all the same, so it's not an equilateral triangle. Right-angled. Right-angled triangle has one 90-degree angle. None of those angles are 90 degrees. Isosceles. Okay, isosceles triangles have two angles the same. 65 and 65 are the same. So isosceles is our correct answer. But let's talk about these. An obtuse angled triangle. So that's a triangle that has one obtuse angle in. All right. So an obtuse angle is greater than 90 but less than 180 degrees. And then a scalene triangle doesn't have any sides or angles the same. So it can't be scaling because we've got those two equal angles there. So the answer is isosceles. Part C. Measure the size of the reflex angle ABC shown below. Okay, so measure means we can use the diagram here, so we can measure directly from it. ABC forms angles here, but we're interested in the reflex angle on the outside. Now, this is quite clearly bigger than a straight line, because if this was a straight line, let me find my ruler, our line would continue, and we know that that part of the angle is 180 degrees, okay? I need to now find the rest of the angle, and then I can add it together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure this bit of the angle here. So when I'm using my protractor, the centre of my protractor here goes on the point at which the angle is formed. My zero line goes flush to the line that I'm measuring from, and then I can measure round from zero. So I am putting the centre on, I'm lining up my zero line, and then I'm measuring around the outside until I get to this line here. Let me make sure I've got it exactly on the centre. So when I come around here, I'm going to read off that value, and that value is 120 degrees. So this is 120 degrees. So the total angle is 180 plus 120, which is 300 degrees. So we're going to put 300 degrees on our answer line. 3A. Part of a number line is shown below. Which number is the arrow pointing at? So we need to figure out what the increments of this number line are, so what these equal spaces are. So for whole numbers, we go from 7 to 8 and 8 to 9. So we know that this value is going to be between 8 and 9, so it's not a whole number. But we need to figure out what's happening between these two values. So from 8 to 9 on this number line, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces, okay? So this one whole one from 8 to 9 is split into 4. So if you do 1 divided by 4, guys, which you can do on your calculator, tells you it's a quarter, and when I press the SD button, it tells me it's 0.25. So each one of these is 0.25. So this would be 8.25, 8.5, 8.75, and then 9. So our arrow is at 8.25. You could write it as 8 1/4 as well. You would get the marks for that, guys. Part B. Circle 2 lengths below that are equal. So we have got a mix of millimetres, centimetres, metres and kilometres. Okay. So I'm going to start by using just one of the values. Okay. So this 1,740 millimetres. Okay. And I'm going to convert it to centimetres and metres and kilometres. And then if I get any that match within this, I've got a matching pair. And then if that doesn't work, I'll move on to the next number. We're going to do it systematically. Okay, so to convert from millimetres to centimetres, 10 millimetres is 1 centimetre. So if I divide by 10, 1,740 divided by 10, this is 174 centimetres. Okay, so 1,740 millimetres, we've got 1,740 centimetres, they do not match. We have 174 centimetres, so that was quite handy. So we're going to pick these two lengths because they are equal. Question 4A. Write the following statement using the correct mathematical symbol. So the statement says that 0.24 is less than 0.3. So 0.24 is less than. So this is our less than symbol. And 0.3. So that's our mathematical statement. Part B, give calculations to show that the following statement is correct. So 18% of 160 is the same as 2/3 of 43.2. So I need to show some calculations that this is correct. So I'm going to carry out this calculation, and then I'm going to carry out this calculation and show that those answers that I get are the same, which means the statement is correct. Okay, so to find 18% of 160, this is a calculator paper, guys, so I'm going to show you a calculator method. Okay, so if I want 18% of 160, I want 18 as a decimal multiplier, so 18 divided by 100 is 0.18. So if I do 0.18 times 160, that gives me 28.8. Now I'm going to work out 2/3 of 43.2. So 2/3 of 43.2. So on my calculator, I'm going to do 2/3 multiplied by 43.2. So 2/3 is a fraction. Arrow off your fraction, guys. I don't know if you can see that clearly, actually. That's a bit better. And then we're going to multiply by 43.2, which gives us an answer of 28.8. We have shown that this statement is correct using calculations.